Good morning. It's what the week is it? The joys of being off of work. You don't. Oh, it's Thursday. Hey, we are now beginning week 9. 9 weeks ago today, I had a stroke. In fact, you go at this time right now, 11:03. I was probably just getting RVH. Just a little bit. We're almost there. Yep, almost met the man who saved my life. Thank you, Dr. McKenzie. So I made my first response video. I see it has not been flagged. It's been viewed 41 times and have gained a few new subscribers. So for those of you who watched the video, thank you. For those of you who decided to join this merry little band, thank you as well. I can almost guarantee I don't know any of you personally. So I did a bit of stumble around YouTube just to look at my analytics. Getting some views out of the UK, some France, the States, and mainly Canada. Right. For everyone that's joined, thank you. For everyone that because you're now a subscriber. For those of you who watch my videos, thank you. Right. I've got 46. I think this will make video number 47. Today's video, we're gonna go back, do a week 1, and then I'm gonna do another video later on. So we're going to get in our Wayback Machine, our TARDIS, or any one of the Star Trek captains, because again, the Temporal Prime Directive, merely a suggestion. Going to go to week 1, and we're going to discuss something pretty heavy. Kids can stay in the room, that's okay, but it'll just be a bit of a heavy conversation. So let's talk about week 1 and depression. Sort of mirror yesterday's response video. So after your stroke, and it's true of any brain injury, right? Having worked with brain injured clients, so it's Thursday. You've just had an immediate, irrevocable, oh shit moment in your world, and a stroke, right? So there's no take back seats. It's not like you don't get a mulligan, right? It just happened. So now then, depending on the severity of your stroke, depending is it left brain, right brain, hemorrhagic, ischemic, or are you lucky enough to have the transient ischemic, the TIA, kind of like speed dating for strokes. So you've just had a stroke. Now you can remember, hopefully, what you could do 2 days ago, 20 minutes ago, what you could do a week ago. Problem is, your brain and or your body don't want to collide well with that thinking process. All of a sudden, you cannot talk. You can't communicate effectively. You have word jumble. You have word finding or word selection issues. You stutter. You stammer. I had I had a right side weakness, and I had a pronounced tremor in my right arm. So if I was standing, if my arm was fully extended, sometimes sitting, I kind of do this, right? That is just me simulating it, but it was uncontrollable. It would come, it would go. You may be impacted other ways. You may have some significant mobility issues. You may have cognitive disruption. You might have had a brain that was like a steel trap and a supercomputer, and now it's like a sieve. Or you don't remember people. Had that happen. So there's various ways this could impact you. So that's going to impact how you feel about yourself. Right? So there are going to be some dark days in week 1 and possibly in week 2. Depending on the severity of your stroke, that could go on for longer. It could go on for definitely longer. I still have the odd dark day. Don't get me wrong. They're not completely dark. It's kind of rain clouds now. But the first 7 to 10 days, yeah, there were some days where like, I can't do this. Yeah, legitimately. So you are going to have some days that aren't going to feel like they're A, productive, B, worthwhile, C, you're going to get stuck into the why me's, right? I did a video or two on the why me, right? So if you want some kick in the ass, go check out the Why Me video, right? If you need a kick in the ass, go to the Why Me video now, right? Or watch this, then go to Why Me, right? So there are possibilities whereby, you know, actually no, I'll include a link in the description to the Why Me video. Okay? There are some possibilities that, you know, maybe I can't think about because I can only really speak to my experiences having worked with brain injured clients, and then my experiences having, you know, recently been one, having had a stroke. So you've now had a stroke, you're now having dark days, right? You're now at a higher potential from suffering through depression, right? Be that because the brain is now rewiring itself, be that because now your life does suck, or it sucks worse than you think it should. You know, again, this is a club you don't want to join. It comes and finds you. You don't get to pick it. It's not like, oh, today I'm going to have a stroke. No, it doesn't work that way. Now then, this is where you got to find people to lean on, right? Now, having had depression before a stroke, I know how people can be lackluster in their response. So, if you have your normal clinical depression that's not brought on by a brain injury or a stroke, people sometimes have difficulty dealing with that, right? Because they do. However, now that you've had a stroke, it might be a bit more accepting that you have depression. Now, does that mean you're going to end up tied to a bed in a hospital? No. Does that mean maybe you need a new medication? Maybe. Does that mean maybe you need to go to see a counselor? Possibly. I would recommend anyone that's had a stroke, go to counseling. I'm doing it. As soon as I get done rehab, so to speak. I'm just too many appointments in a day. It makes my life, you know, a bit overscheduled. Right. So you need to make sure that you take care of you. If your car was broke, you take it to a mechanic. You don't call your plumber, right? So you might need a brain mechanic, right? That is completely a potentiality, and I'm going to avail myself of that. The great news is it's free. I live in Ontario, and through my employer, I have an excellent benefits program. So I'm going to exploit the EAP program through my employer and see my counselor that way. So essentially, it's free. And if I needed to see a doctor, I live in Ontario. I have a health card. I show that. I get a doctor. It's free. Yep. Now then, these dark days, you know, they might be moments, you know, they might be days. I had at least one good fuck me day. Like, I know I did. I think it was like day 6 or day 7. I had a really good fuck my life day. Lasted about a day, and then I'm like, you idiot, you gotta quit this. The only way this gets better is if you make it better. I'm gonna have to quote Master Yoda: "Do or do not, there is no try." Right? Do or do not, there is no try. Right? It's not like you got a cast and it's gonna come off in 6 weeks and you'll almost be better. No, it's a stroke, right? Especially if you, and I can't speak to this experience, and I don't know how this would be. Although I did see my grandmother go through some of it, the option of you're never going home, right? Or you're not going home right now, that could exponentially make this worse, right? If because of your stroke, you're in the position of never going home, you're now going to a nursing home, possibly indefinitely, or you need to go to a rehab and recovery facility for 3 or 4 months, whatever the case may be. So you've gone from Emerge, the big scary place, to the ICU, which is not as scary but more noisy, to the cardiac unit where they put machines on you to monitor your heart. And now you're in a rehab facility and you've been told, hey, depending on how you progress here, eventually you get to go home. I can only imagine how frustrating it is. And I'm sorry that you have to be there, but that's where you need to be. The only suggestion I have is surround yourself with friends and family that provide you some levity, that make you laugh, that are useful. that serve a purpose, and get them to do with you and for you as much as possible, right? Um, you know, it makes a difference. My friends from work and my shooting friends, everyone from my place of employment, Option B, Team Fist, you guys have been amazing, right? My hat goes off to you. If I could do something special for each and every one of you, I definitely would. Um, so, and my employer, right, has been great through this. So I can't fault anyone. My family, yeah, you've been pretty decent. Yeah, my parents have traveled a couple hours, or more than a couple hours, to to help me out here and there, take me to appointments. My brother and I, we're starting to connect a bit more effectively than we were historically before the stroke. So, you know, you're going to have dark days. You know, and you are now a more likely candidate for the big D. So, I'm going to tell you to head that horse off at the pass, right? What you need to do for you is you need to go find a therapist, right? Counselor, whatever the case may be. And because it's a fairly life-altering event. You know, it's not like, oh, I lost my job and I got to get a new one, or I'm going to go back to school. You know, this isn't a choice, you know, or something that's easily rectifiable. The potential for long-term, unpredicted, unannounced life changes is exponential. You're going to need to talk to someone that's completely bipartisan. They have no emotional investment to you, right? So they're going to give you logic and fact. They're not going to try to placate you, right? They're you know, they're going to look out for your best interests, but temper it with a small dose of reality. So yeah, just be aware. Now that you've had a stroke in week 1, maybe week 2, you're going to have some dark days, and there's nothing you can do about that, and it is completely normal, right? So let me just say that again. It is completely normal, because you are trying to emotionally resolve what I could do 2 weeks ago, what I could do 2 days ago, what I could do 2 minutes ago, versus what I can do now. I've been there, right? When they gave me the TPA, they'd come in and say, hey, say the days of the week. I took about 2 hours. They would come in like every 10 minutes. Tell me the days of the week. I'm like, okay. Yeah, it took me about 6 or 7 attempts to finally get all the days of the week out. And it was a struggle, because the brain knew what it wanted to say. I knew what needed to come out of my mouth. What was coming out of my mouth was gibberish at times. Or maybe the days weren't in the right order. And I knew that as soon as it came out of my, like, oh shit, that's wrong, right? You know, so there will be dark days, right? They will get better, right? Your days will get better. So please, and if you get to the point where your dark day has turned into dark days that are consecutive, right? And you start to have really dark thoughts, you need to immediately, without any question, go find someone you love, care, and trust, bear hug them, and tell them, take me to the hospital. Right? Because your stroke might not have killed you, but depression can. Right? So, like I said, if your dark day turns into dark days, multiple, consecutive, unending gap, or you have more dark days than good days, you need immediately to go find someone you love, care, and trust. You need to hug them in an all-round bear hug grasp, right? Do not let them go, and you need to make them take you to the hospital, right? And then get the help you need. You survived the stroke, right? You're still around. We want you to stay around, right? So on that note, going to give you a double sum up. If you happen to notice anyone around you that's having a mental health issue, and they appear to be, shall we say, not handling it well, and you believe they are about to do something drastic and something where there may be no mulligan involved, right? Self-harm, injury, or possibly something that could end their life, please immediately intervene, right? Get them the help they need. Take them to the hospital, call your family doctor. If you have to, 911, right? Or, get emergency services there immediately, right? Help that person save their own life. And if you notice in someone around you signs or symptoms of a stroke, that being facial droop, inability to smile equally or effectively, speech that is either stuttering, stammering, or inappropriate word usage or selection for context, inability to raise both arms equally or effectively, inability to stand unaided, general body weakness or weakness on one side, please immediately place that person in a position of comfort and dial 911. Something so simple can save a life.